So being in Japan, having the privilege to stand in front of a global auditorium, I download 20% of my Japanese capabilities. Minasan konbanwa. Happy to be here with my colleague Kentaro Ueno-san, and thanks, Brian, for your warm introduction, showing a little bit what we tried to do in the last 2.5 years after the lifetime experience of the 11th of March, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We will come for sure during this evening to this point back. Explaining Daimler could be one day. I tried in 5 minutes because it's a global organization, it's a global business, it's a very diverse business, and it's a complex business. But the outcome you see here on one chart, we are moving people, we are moving goods, we are producing prestigious passenger cars, which I think most of you know, and we are producing buses to move people and trucks to move goods. So we try to keep the flow, the industrial flow, moving. We are a few brands you see here of Daimler. This is Daimler in Japan, the Mercedes cars, the smart cars, the Mitsubishi Fuso trucks and buses, and the financial arm, Fuso Financial and Mercedes Financial. Next chart. Here you see it again. Next. I have to click. Arigato gozaimasu. We will. Okay, there we have talked about. No, it's the wrong direction. I started already with point 1, what Daimler is. So you see there was an opening chart. Here you see some more products. We talked about the cars, the trucks. One word more to trucks. Daimler represents the biggest truck manufacturer in the world with roughly 500,000 vehicles every year. And what is maybe a specificum in trucks is that we have several brands and operations around the world. The big picture is in the Western Hemisphere, in US, you see the Freightliner trucks and Western Star trucks. How does this work? The pointer. The right one. I'm struggling with the pointer. Here, these nice trucks with the cap. In Europe and Latin America, you see mostly the Mercedes trucks. And in Asia, you see the famous Mitsubishi Fuso trucks. On buses, also multi-brand from Mercedes, Mitsubishi Fuso, and Setra buses. Vans, and the financial arm. So you see a big product portfolio of a comprehensive automotive company. Financials. Here you see some financials. This is an old chart. This is 1 week too old. We are roughly a 100 billion company. We have made in 2012 8.2 billion EBIT. We are doing, as I said, 500,000 commercial vehicles. We are doing over 1 million passenger cars, and we are employing 250,000 people around the world. This is the organization, and I do not expect that you understand this now, but I try to confuse you. Okay, behind every organization are people, and you should now not remember these people, but every organization is a formal setup on the paper. The importance is the people. And if you have a global organization and if you have a matrix organization, the challenge to the people is even bigger, because it's the nature of human being, it's the nature of managers to be very alpha dominated and to have their kingdom and their influence, and if they have to share, people sometimes are fighting. We were coming from a pure functional organization in a matrix organization, and this was a change. But meanwhile we learned how to work together. So what you see here in the matrix is starting with the board of management. Which functions do we have? Let me concentrate on the functions. The chairman. We have the board member for Mercedes-Benz passenger car procurement and manufacturing. We have the worldwide board member responsible for HR, human resources. By the way, my predecessor, once CEO of Mitsubishi Fuso Truck and Buses, 2004-05. We have one board member responsible for one country, which is China. So you see even here, it's a third dimension in a matrix, focusing on the market. We have a board member for development and group research, overall Daimler, and development for passenger car. We have a board member, maybe also interesting for the discussion, for integrity and legal. We have a board member for the division trucks and buses, and the CFO. So you see functions like HR, finance, legal, integrity. You see divisions like trucks and buses. And you see countries like China. So you may say this is a chaos. In the dialogue, I try then to convince you that this is not a chaos, that this is made by intention, but it's complex. Within this division, Daimler Trucks, you see then the perfect storm of a matrix. You see the brand responsibles and sales and manufacturing responsible. Why? The order fulfillment process in one responsibility. Mitsubishi Fuso and Pachat-Benz, the Mercedes trucks and the Freightliner trucks. And the second dimension of the matrix is product engineering worldwide, across these businesses, the powertrain and the purchasing and finance. So you see matrix. Why? We will come later. Now, as I said, I do not expect that you understand Daimler, but maybe you have room for questions now. Let's come to Daimler Trucks and to Fuso, let's say, in a narrowing the scope. Our vision, easy to write down, a bigger challenge to live every day. On my table in the office, I have one chart, it's exactly this. And I do every month copies because most of the visitors are getting a copy as a reminder. Also own people, the number, maybe Ueno-san has also already 3 or so, because the number of people is increasing who are saying, I have got it last month from you. I said, okay, take it and give it to your team members. Because we must remember ourselves every day on these nice sentences, but on this vision and this challenge to live that. We are number one in the global truck business, create superior value for our customers, and are benchmark for quality and profitability. Our brands, I explained, and our values, passion, respect, integrity, and discipline. And I'm a fan of all these dimensions in this chart. But the biggest fan, I'm of these 4 values. And this is also maybe true for other companies. But we choose these 4 words. And what helped me a lot in coming to Japan in another culture with other business, from finance to operations, are these 4 values. Because I deeply believe that every person in the world expects to be treated with respect, that everybody wants to work in an organization with discipline and integrity, and that everybody likes to see the passion of the colleague and to join the passion of the colleague. Nobody wants to live in an organization and to work every day in an organization, at least from Monday to Friday, where it's lazy, no passion, respect is not a given, we are finger pointing each other, integrity, we are cheating around, and discipline, okay, what I do today, I'm not anymore interested tomorrow. This is also discussed in a multicultural team and decided as such. How we try to do our business around the world with 130,000 people in the truck business. We have set up 5 years, 6 years ago, a strategy called Global Excellence. Okay, every strategy needs a name. Now, there's nothing special about Global Excellence, but it's also nothing wrong. So we named it Global Excellence, because we were in a situation to integrate the businesses, because there are 125 years of Mercedes trucks of history. There are some 60 years of Freightliner, when there was the purchase of Freightliner, and there are exactly 10 years of Mitsubishi Fuso. So very diverse business, very different histories, and this was a challenge to integrate them. So we said Global Excellence. We defined 4 pillars, and I think you can imagine these are just the headlines. We said management of cycle is 1 pillar. Why? The truck business is a very cyclical business. 20–30% up and down is not a surprise year over year. Like after the Lehman shock, 50% down is a surprise. Please imagine, Mitsubishi Fuso have made 2008, 198,000 trucks and buses, 198,000. In the year 2009, it was 100,000 exactly. So 50% less within 3 months of change. What this means for the flexibility of a business, I think you can imagine. But we want to front load this, and therefore to create the tools, and therefore we said management of cycle must be our management DNA. Secondly, operational excellence. Now operational, please do not understand as shop floor only. Understand it as in all areas. If it's the finance office, if it's HR, if it's development, if it's the CEO office, if it's the CEO himself, operational excellence is expected. And not, I invite you for a meeting, but I have changed my mind, I want to talk another topic with you. Growth and market exploitation. This is our global growth and being market leader. And future product generations, because we are dealing with products, so we must invest in products, we must develop products, we must have the right innovation speed, we are very proud, and sorry when I say this, maybe it sounds arrogant, the most fuel-efficient truck in the world is built exactly half an hour from here in Kawasaki. And we don't have asked for that, but we are very proud, of course, that we got numerous awards in the last months. And the Automotive Award was the first time in the history given for this truck. the RJC award. And this is once in a lifetime you can have this experience. This is, and therefore, this shows you a little bit how we try to invest in innovation. And of course, you know that hybrid trucks are not 50% market share. It's just a niche, but we say we want to be front runner. So therefore, we are investing in products. We have done this homework, as you can see on this chart, and overall our motto is as global as possible, as local as necessary. So there is not the first priority as local as much, so I do everything in Kawasaki and only what I cannot avoid we are doing globally. The organization, if you may remember, is exactly along that line, as global as possible. You might not be surprised that the purchasing is organized globally because we want to leverage the purchasing power around the world. You may not be surprised that R&D, development, manufacturing engineering is organized globally because we want to use the same parts for a truck in America and in Japan if it's possible. If, let me make the most silliest example, Japan is right-hand drive, so we cannot use the same dashboard like in US, but we can use the same modules. So as local, as global as possible and as local as necessary. Here you see we are present around the world, and I want to draw your attention, and please excuse that we have deleted the numbers here because we are not disclosing our future volume plannings, but let's say the bars give you some indication, and if you look to that and to the countries, then you can see one thing clearly. The growth is here, and this is driven by Latin America. The growth is here, and this is driven by Asia, Russia. The growth is here, and this is driven by India. And the growth is here, and this is driven by the ASEAN countries. So the big picture is the triad markets, Japan, Europe, and US, are mainly stable with slight growth, positive, but not significant. And the big growth is in the BRICS countries and in the ASEAN countries. Let's not forget countries like today Indonesia with 300 million people. Let's not forget tomorrow countries like Vietnam, Bangladesh, Africa, because I'm quite sure that in 5 to 10 years these markets will have also significant volumes, because we are people, and where there's development, there are goods which must be transported, and it's just a question of time. How we are doing our business in Asia, we have, let's say, we are organized that our product portfolio is, we have a joint product plan, we have a joint production and sourcing footprint, we are doing a joint partner involvement, and we have a comprehensive sales organization, which of course is a challenge. My head of sales was last week in US. He was yesterday in Indonesia. Today he is in Philippines, and maybe on Tuesday next week he is back in the office. So most meetings I'm running without my head of sales. This is part of a global business. By doing this, we have done last year 175,000 trucks and buses, which is 37% out of the mentioned close to 500,000 units. And in this global family of Daimler Trucks, we have some, let's say, big tasks. And the big tasks are, first of all, we are representing the Asian market. Of course, there are also Mercedes trucks and Freightliner trucks, but only on a limited scale. We have the competence of the light-duty truck, this truck which have win these awards. And we are in Kawasaki from here, the hybrid alternative drivetrain development center, means we are developing also these elements for the trucks in Europe and in America. And to make it a little bit practical, there are 150 engineers taking care of this technology. The head is sitting in Kawasaki, 100 people are sitting in Kawasaki, and the other 50 people are sitting in Germany in the R&D center, and in Portland, US, Germany, Stuttgart, and in Portland, US, and these are his people, so he's working in a global team. So sometimes he sleeps in the morning or to lunchtime and has a video conference in the nighttime. This is how I try to give you a little bit of insight for our further dialogue and discussion about Daimler and Daimler Trucks and Fuso and how we are organized and what is our strategy. And I only can invite you to get a little bit more impressions in our homepage or in YouTube. By the way, every day, 1,000 people around the world are clicking our YouTube channel. So we are very proud to be one of the first truck manufacturers who have such an extensive YouTube channel. But how YouTube channels do very much more professional, my colleague Kintaro Ueno can tell you now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me the time to speak in front of you. It made it a little bit easier for me to start out because Dr. Kilchman had already given the very difficult chart, and I think he did a good job in explaining the Daimler setup. My part, I would say, is directly under not Mr. Rentschler, but under Dr. Dieter Zetsche, who is our chairman of Daimler. This is Dr. Schmidt, who is my direct boss. Of course, he's in Germany. And comes myself here. Our mission statement, we invented the car, by the way. If you knew about this, it was not Ford, it was Daimler. Because I still bump into people believing that Ford was the inventor of the automobile, but in reality, it's Daimler. Carl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler who invented the car. And since we invented the car and truck and are passionate about their future, so we take care of the future of the cars also, or at least this is our mission. And we shape the future of the safe and sustainable mobility, try to delight our customers, and of course, sustainable growth and profitability, and of course, responsible for the environment and society. And repeatedly said, our core values, same, passion, respect, integrity, and discipline. And I call this pride, without the E. But I'm always, whenever we are into business, this is the core values which Daimler shares in all our business. And for 2020, we have the ambition to lead Mercedes-Benz. And this is what we're working on day in, day out. We got everything to do this. We believe we have the best brand. I hope you believe so also. We have the best product. Any opposing? And of course, we have the best sales organization. And we strive for the best profit. So all in all, this is where we believe that we can make our success to the ambition to lead. If I wasn't a believer in this, I'm actually in the company for 26 years. So right after college or university, I joined Mercedes-Benz when we were only selling 10,000 cars here in Japan. We currently are back to 40,000 cars per year. So I think all this, past 26 years, I have believed in this company, and I had continued in this company. Where do Japan stand? As a matter of fact, I can disclose the numbers because this is already done. But just for your knowledge, we are currently in the world ranking number 7. And in Japan, 2012, among the imported premium brand, we were with 41,900, very close with our competitor from Munich, number one. So I wouldn't have accepted this seminar if it was last year, because we were not there yet. So we kind of overtook BMW last year, and we're number one. And by the way, we also position ourselves very important for worldwide sales, not only because of volume, but of course from the profitability. And we simply, my task simply is to maximize the volume and make profit. Simple as that. And of course, not easy, but that's my own mission. Yeah? What we try to do is, naturally, no car company says next year we'll sell less. Every year we have to grow. So I don't know if you have ever tried it, but you see announcements from all automobile companies. You add them together, you'll never see the actual number coming. But this is the automobile industry. So everybody tries to sell more, at least even one more than the previous year. So that's what my past 6 years of sales and marketing was. I had to chase after month. I have to sell at least 1, 2, 3, whatever, more than the previous year. And I think in Mercedes-Benz Japan, my sales team, they, after 6 years or after 2 years, they've already understood this. So today, what is it, the 15th of February? We have 13 more days to go this month, and we're a little bit behind. So any volunteers, I will bring back, help the team. So I would try to help the team always. Looking at the passenger car market in Japan, a little bit serious. This is the development. Doesn't look good. Japan is not a growing market. We don't see Japan as a booming market. Rather, Japan is unique for its K-car market. Very unique, only in Japan. We don't have products there. And actually, this segment is growing. But other than that, the entire market itself is sinking. Especially, you heard about the disaster which happened, and where the Japanese manufacturers couldn't produce any cars. This is what happened in 2011. Now, the market had come back a little, but obviously we have seen the K-car segment growing much faster. We believe that this area is an area which we cannot fight in, meaning we have no products. It's a very unique Japanese, called the mini car K segment. And this is the area where the imported car manufacturers are a little, let's say, questioning about. Because it's kind of a tax break without a specific reason. And we are currently, as the Japan Automobile Importers Association, looking into this area as questioning why this should continue for so much long. Because we feel that it's not a fair, let's say, competition there. But nonetheless, as I said, the market is not growing. It's stable, so we have to eat your neighbor's pie. So we're trying very hard to do that. Not only the pie from Munich, but also Mercedes-Benz will go into trying to get people from the domestic, let's say, manufacturers. I'll show you some samples later. But let's see why this is. Japan, super Asian country. And, you know, it's simply the population is decreasing. Population decreases, less people drives car. Car penetration, it's basically saturated. Ownership period. Unfortunately, from the previous average car age, it's simply just going up. So longer and longer. Once you purchase a car, the people hold the car a longer period. This is the most unfortunate chart I have to share with you, is the decreasing interest in cars. And this cannot be solved by one manufacturer. It has to be done by the entire car industry, which I think everybody is suffering, and everybody shows their way of interesting people, and Mercedes-Benz also does this in Japan. Before I go into that, show you a chart where Mercedes-Benz is. Globally, of course, in most of the areas, we take the global approach. And globally, the younger demographics show in all global markets downsizing. So smaller engines because of CO2 issues, because of fuel efficiency issues, and so on. So if you think Mercedes is just this big, gigantic, gas-guzzling car, that's not true. We also are into downsizing, and as a matter of fact, the Europeans are very good at this, concentrating on CO2s, not only fuel efficiency. Now, what is critical between Europe, America, and Japan is that we have different standards. We have different testing methodologies. We have different homologation, which makes everything cumbersome for manufacturers going outside, inside. So these are also the areas where we look as a disadvantage while working in Japan. But we can't talk about that all the way because we have to live in this market, make money, maximize volume. So what we do actually is we have to cope with the customer base. Products, we have to Japanize it. This costs us a lot of money. Dealers, we also have a zoning issue. It's not just easy to set up a dealership. You have, after-service facilities which do not cope with the Japanese zoning issues, where you cannot have a service station just in front of a residential area. So these are the areas which the imported cars have the disadvantage versus the domestic. But I'm not trying to persuade you all to talk about it. It's just a matter of fact which we have to take into consideration when we want to sell cars in Japan. And of course, the image communication area, this goes down to. From a global product, we try to locally fit Mercedes-Benz into this market. Now, what we do, what I believe is Mercedes-Benz or any car company, what we do is we are in the fashion business. We try to sell style. Do you need a very expensive car to go from A to B? Not necessarily. That's why we try to sell style. That's why we want to locally adapt what we can from our mothership, Stuttgart, but at the same time, we want to interest our audience here in Japan. And we are doing quite a number of approaches where, this is not easy because I tell you, we try to think outside the box. There are many, and we try to be very creative, and we have to get things done. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that there's many areas where we believe that is not that, let's say, easy to just drive. For example, these are typical Mercedes-Benz dealerships. CI, corporate identity standards, all set. Looks okay, but, have you ever tried going into a Hermes, Gucci store? Yeah, of course. I try to avoid it to go into those shops with my wife, because the next thing what's going to happen is, number one, the people at the shop will try to sell you something. Number two, or number one maybe, my wife would want to buy something. Now, something similar happens in a Mercedes-Benz dealership. People are a little bit afraid to go into those dealerships because they may feel that the salesmen are going to push, hard sell cars to them. Now, it's not easy if you don't have the money, just simply swing by. then you wouldn't even meet a Mercedes-Benz dealership, or you wouldn't be able to touch and feel the Mercedes-Benz. So what we did, and we did have, I have to admit, this Mercedes-Benz image of sometimes arrogant, sometimes elitist, and we wanted to go away from them. Certainly because of downsizing, we found some kind of chances there. What we did, alongside these properly fit CI standard 100% dealerships, what we went into is something called Mercedes-Benz Connection. This one was Mercedes-Benz Connection 1. This is in Roppongi. Actually, this was a big experiment for us. We don't sell cars here. We just show them. We have a restaurant. We have a cafe. We just want people to swing by. We just want people to pass by. Now, this happened, we established this Mercedes-Benz Connection in 2011, July. So 4 months after the earthquake and tsunami. And we've always said this was an experiment because we weren't sure if it was going to work or not. But we were pretty much successful, I believe. Actually, we had average around 2,000 people coming in every day, average. We held 80 times collaboration events with other companies. We introduced all our models here just to show the public Mercedes-Benz is not arrogant, elitist, and so on. We wanted to share Mercedes-Benz with people just passing by. We have a unique card membership. Only 20% is Mercedes-Benz owners. The other 40 doesn't even own a car. And the other 40 comes from the other brands. And you know what I try to do with the other 40%, right? I mean, you know, to capture them eventually, but we don't sell cars. So rest assured that you don't have to buy a car if you swing by here. Now, what happened was we did the 18-month experiment. We thought it was a great, let's say, investment. We decided to go to a newly opened Mercedes-Benz Connection, just 80 meters nearby. Now, we did all our lessons learned, meaning what we couldn't achieve on the Mercedes-Benz Connection 1, we fulfilled in the Mercedes-Benz Connection. We don't call it the 2, but second Mercedes-Benz Connection. What we did, fortunately, there's a parking area next to the vicinity, and moreover, there's even more easier way to test drive the cars. We call it the test cruise. So people who just drop by, we allow people, of course they have to have a legit driver's license, but they come to us and they can try our newest product there. But they're not going to be hard sold. So it's a kind of it's a touch point for Mercedes-Benz with anybody who is interested. Of course, we ask them to be members of the Mercedes-Benz Connection. This is the only reason is because we have to know their address and if they are suitable. But there is a big chance that many people get very much interested in our product. And if they wish, of course we're not shy to introduce them to our dealers. So eventually, I think with the Mercedes-Benz Connection 1, we had more than 150 sales. No hard sell again, just introduced to the dealers. So that's one way. And 150 units, if you think about the 40,000 units we sold last year out of the 205 dealerships, not a bad number. Not a bad number. And plus that, there's a restaurant, a gorgeous restaurant next, second floor, a nice bar, a nice cafe downstairs. We call it the cafe downstairs. The restaurant upstairs. Very easy to understand. And even today, of course, it's open 7 days a week, and it never rests. So I would like to all invite you sometime. Of course, you have to pay yourself, unfortunately, to this site. Have a look at it. You don't have to spend any money. You can just stroll by and see there. The biggest thing which we experienced was our accessory sales, meaning Mercedes-Benz T-shirts, bags, you name it. In the first year, we sold about 10% of what we sell nationwide. So just people came in, you know, I would ask you the question, would you go and buy a T-shirt to a Mercedes-Benz dealership? The answer is obviously no. So a place where you can just easily come in, you know, see the stuff, then there's more chance to sell. And we have a lot of visitors coming in, day out. So I think this is one approach which our mothership would not, let's say, they were, in the initial stage, they were saying, are you crazy? You want to open up a place like this and you're not going to sell cars. What are you going to do? But as a matter of fact, we did sell 150 cars, not directly from us, but through our dealerships. And image-wise, we reached out to 60% or 80%, which was not Mercedes-Benz customers. So I think job well done. That's why we're going for the second one, which is currently there. It's going to be open for another 3 years. So I really, you know, ask you if you have the time to just stroll by in Roppongi. It's just opposite side of the Roppongi Midtown. It's easy to find between Nogizaka. So I just wanted to tell you this. This was one approach, thinking outside the box. Now those are the pictures of the, this one. And since we thought it was, you know, doing something, some of us a favor, we decided to go to Osaka. This is going to be open in April. Of course, what we try to do, express, is the same thing as what we did in Tokyo. You might, or I'll tell you that we sell our Mercedes-Benz product around, in Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, it's around 70% of our entire sales. So we take these three markets very serious, or the surrounding three markets very serious, and we've decided to go to Osaka from April. So we're going to set up a similar facility, but within a building. So this is a new Osaka Umeda project, which the Umeda project is a very strong, let's say, investment from the center of Osaka. And we believe that this is going to also add some, let's say, flavor. But we're not going to call it the Mercedes-Benz Osaka, it's the Mercedes-Benz Connection. So it's open for people from Kyoto, Kobe, you name it. Yes, since you may be a little bit bored, I'll give you TV footage. This is what Stuttgart likes, meaning TV commercial, adapted, adaptation film. You know, Stuttgart wants to give us a film. They want us to adapt it to the Japanese audience. But the next one I will show, they liked it also.
巻き込んじゃってごめんね。
忙しすぎんだよこの街は。
そう慣れれば便利だよ。
逃がすか。
絶対追いついてお願い。じゃなきゃ最悪のまま今日の私が終わっちゃう。スペシャルムービーはウェブでね。
Although this was totally produced in Japan, as I said, Stuttgart loved it, because it was something very special. And we had to do something special for the new A-Class. And as a matter of fact, they currently use this in Taiwan. They use it in Thailand. So what that means is that, you know, when we can think outside the box, coping with our mothership, you know, we can get things done. Mercedes-Benz Connection is the only one in Japan, nowhere in the world. We came up with the idea, of course, bumpy roads, we got it through. Animation, we said this is Japan's strength. Animation is one of Japan's best thing, and we wanted to show the car. Our intention was a teaser campaign, but everybody thought this was a launch campaign. By the way, how is A-Class developing? If you order now, you have to wait until June. So I think we're doing quite okay. Yes, that's kind of my side of the story, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirihama-san
Excellent.
and Ueno-san. Actually, I bought this at Connection last week, and I jumped into Connection, and which is in a very good location in Roppongi. And then I found a very good cap, so I bought it. This looks quite cool, doesn't it?
This is a challenge for me because there are, of course, also Fuso caps.
Oh, I see. I'll talk about that later. First of all, I'd like to thank Kirihama-san and Ueno-san for speaking. At the same time, I'd like to thank all the Daimler-Benz company as well as the Mitsubishi Fuso-san for generously donating 200 million yen to Globis Sendai campus. When tsunami happened in 2011, in March 11th, like 3 days later, I started Kibo, which means hope, and rainbow, so it's KIBOW. The notion is quite simple. One person is so small in comparison to that tsunami or disasters. But however, if you get together, we may be able to do something. Let's have Kibo, let's have hope. And then we went all the devastated areas, and then we all thought that we need to have a great leaders coming from those regions. Now that they have been quite energized to do something in those regions, but there is not enough education over there. There's no MBA programs in Sendai, so we decided to open a Sendai campus. And all the people told me that you will never make money in Sendai, you will never break even, but we didn't care about breaking even. But what we wanted to do was that we need to educate people. And then Daimler-san and Benz have generously donated 200 million yen for those who are willing to study at Sendai and Tohoku regions. At the same time, they are also the money is also going to be used for the initiatives to start some kind of companies, and so that they will contribute to the job creation in those regions. And that has been so helpful for us because some people do not have enough cash. Therefore, thank you very much for that. Please, thank on behalf of myself. And thank you very much. We all feel so glad about that. Okay, so with that, I'd like to ask tough questions. And I'd like to ask you about you mentioned. Well, first of all, I'd like to ask Dr. Kirihama-san. You said about as global as possible, as local as necessary. So let me ask one thing. How much did you have to localize in Japan? Maybe Fuso may be different, but maybe Ueno-san or whoever wants to answer the question. You mentioned about connection, but what is so different if you think about how much localization is needed in Japan? Any of you?
30 years back, our business was a 95% local business in Japan from the sourcing side. Today, our newest truck is 50% sourced globally and 50% in Japan. So you see a clear change. This is driven by competitiveness. This is driven by exchange rates. This is a pure financial and based on quality criteria and so on, a business decision. Having said this is not a speech of that the Japanese supplier industry is a bad one. In contrary, it's a very good one. But there are suppliers for certain parts which are collecting bigger volumes, being it in Korea, being it in Russia, being it in Europe, and therefore they are simply more competitive. there are also suppliers from Japan now supplying in the network for operations in Europe or in US. This is from the supplier side. So there is a significantly rapid change from local to global footprints. On the market side, 30 years back, only 30 years back, 50% of the vehicles are sold in Japan and 50% in other markets. Today, 20% is sold in Japan and 80% in other markets. From 100% of the vehicles, 50% of the vehicles are assembled not in Japan, but in global markets. In Taiwan, in Indonesia, in Russia, in Portugal, in Europe, in South Africa, to mention some of them. Now, the third aspect, is this a deindustrialization of Japan? Or you can raise the same question in Europe. And I just was asked this question this week from a German minister and the Chamber of Commerce here in Tokyo. I clearly say no, it's a structural change. And I clearly say even to keep the industrial power like our plant in Japan, we have to do this structural change. We are not doing all from one location, but you are doing parts of a bigger volume, of a bigger share, of a global volume from this location. So the only way to keep a plant with 10,000 people like in Kawasaki or the bus plant in Toyama is to do this structural change.
Okay, let me ask Ueno-san the same kind of questions. In case of Daimler-Benz or Mercedes-Benz, how much localized do you have to do in Japan? And if you have knowledge about other markets like China or America or other Latin America, how much localized, more localized compared to other countries?
Well, actually, I mean, we don't produce cars, we import them. So, I mean, a product side, of course, this is 100% import, but the content of the car itself is very global. I mean, as Dr. Kilpin said, suppliers, of course, we were also affected by the Tohoku disaster. There were board members flying into Japan to check, parts companies in Japan, suppliers in Japan. So it was also a great big hit. Many of the European car manufacturers suffered a lot from this earthquake. And so the car contents itself, it's full of globalization. As I said, I'm not into the R&D, and I'm just a simple salesman, I have to tell you. So what we try to create is, I try to show some samples up there. Daimler is, or Mercedes-Benz is, of course, naturally in building showrooms, of course, together with the suppliers. They are good at doing commercial films, like what you saw. What we do, adapt, localize, is, I would say, material-wise, very limited. But when we feel that it is necessary to bring our marketing to a level which is understood by the Japanese audience, because it doesn't mean anything if we simply just copy-paste what we get from Germany and show it to the customers. Especially, there are some bad ones. I'm sorry, but there are some jokes on TV commercials which no Japanese would understand. So if you try to push that, it would affect the entire marketing, let's say, activities. You try to copy-paste what you have everything from Germany. Sometimes it works, yes, but sometimes it doesn't. And I think the Japanese people, our agency, our people, working people, very good at not copy-paste, but copying, but to make the Japanese taste into it, so localize and get things done. I mean, one of the TV commercials or any other Mercedes-Benz connection, this is not an invention. You see something similar outside Japan. I was a strong initiator of this Mercedes-Benz connection. Why it happened? I was in Italy. I saw the Mercedes-Benz cafe in Italy. I walked in Paris. There's a nice place on the Champs-Élysées, a Mercedes-Benz France accessory shop. I bump into a Peugeot shop, or all this, all put together, and you just have to think, what do we not have in Japan? Yeah.
So how many of you have been to connections, like Mercedes-Benz connections? You got a lot more.
I have to work on it, yes.
But I think they will go, because you are here, so that all of us will be there. But anyway, let me ask Kyohima-san about the localization and localize. Your slide shows that you have 3 different brands, instrument trucks. One is one in Japan, and the other one is Mercedes-Benz, and the other one as well. And have you ever thought about globalizing or standardizing the brand, or what is the decision behind you leave the brand that you hold right now?
Very good question. A clear answer: no, never. Because the value of a truck is beside the pure investment, is the brand, is the heritage, is the history, multiple 10 years. And we even think the other way around, where we use the products, we call it double batching, and use the brand, let's say, at the same truck, where the brand has a reputation in the market. One example, the best-selling vehicle in the world with 120,000 units, sold in 149 countries as Mitsubishi Fuso. In one country it's sold as Freightliner, Mexico. Because in Mexico, this Freightliner brand is a reputation, and the people believe, and the brand characteristic fits. And then is the hardware reason. If you do not have you have 2 alternatives. Either you build up a new brand with a new service network or a merged service network, or you use one. You use customers' mind going to Mercedes Connection. And if I would produce a car, I would talk to Ueno-san to name it Mercedes, because there's a reputation. I would never have the idea to market a passenger car under the name of Fuso, Mitsubishi Fuso. So, and if you go to Mercedes Connection, you see even some Fuso trucks, small ones in there. So the brand is the brand heritage, which are known by people. So we are the brand. The brand is something which is local and global at the same time. The products are best possible global, from the development, from the manufacturing footprint, from the sourcing footprint. The customers are purely local. And what the challenge for global companies is, or for getting global, are the people. And this is also a challenge for us. We are on the way. But because you can only do global business if you have global people, like Ueno-san said, with experiences here and there and everywhere. And my 10,000 people have gone already away. Let's say maybe 4 steps out of 10. But the next 6 steps has to follow. Because we need people with international mindset.
Very good. So that statement must have been a strong endorsement for people working for Mitsubishi Fuso. They have never thought about changing the brand. But let me ask you a question about, we all know about how you got involved into Mitsubishi Fuso. What did you bring from Germany to Mitsubishi Fuso, and what have you changed, and what was difficult?
I was last Sunday at a maybe competitor of you at an MBA lecture. But it was only a few people and not comparable.
Okay.
So here is the Mercedes.
This is better.
Much better. And I was together, without any doubt, much more professional. But I was there with my head of HR, and I very much liked, because he got from the people exactly this question. And my head of HR is 34 years old. He's member of the ExCom, head of HR of 12,000 people, 34 years old. This is already some change. This would have not happened some 10 years ago at Mitsubishi Fuso. So, and he said something like the following. When I entered Mitsubishi Fuso at MMC, Mitsubishi Motor Corporation, I wanted to join a company, a very local company, a big company with much of safety thinking. I do not want to go globally. I wanted to have a very secure, normal life. What I learned then in the 10 years, where these people are in another family, by the way, perfectly working together with the old family, but because they're still our shareholder, is, he said then, follow up, because I was used, we decide something, but nobody takes care if it's getting implemented. So, discipline. Transparency in decisions, accessibility of top management, of management and top management, because I would never have thought that staff members could talk to vice presidents and suchos. Open communication in town halls. So I was very much impressed about his statement, what he personally, let's say, expected from his professional lifetime. And I said, of course, I would never have expected when I joined 14 years ago this company that I would be 14 years later head of HR. Never.
Young as well.
So young as well, yeah. We have now, to give you some elements, and this, let's say, is in a traditional manufacturing industry much more a challenge than in a more customer-oriented, modern import products, fashion-style company, where still there's a challenge with MB Connection and go the next level. But somehow we are coming from a production, let's say, mindset. Yeah? We are very happy. 3 of our 150 senior managers are ladies. And you read now in the Japanese newspapers and discussions about women. We started this 3 years back. By the way, I started personally saying, stop, wait a moment, ladies first in the elevator. European way, please. First people said, he's crazy, you know, this guy. He should have his own elevator and all these things. So this reminds me always in respect to the people. When our top management is walking through the assembly line, people are loving and greeting. And if you talk to them, then they are saying they have never seen a vice president, they have never seen a sacho in the company, in the production line. This is respect. So these are some elements which I think this 10-year of global approach, and this is not Daimler specific, and this is what's I think very urgently needed for the Japanese manufacturing industry. What I meant before was the short sentence of international mindset of people.
So in terms of people, there are quite a few MBA coming from abroad. What language is spoken? Like, is it like English, Japanese, or German? Or what language is required? Do you hire any intern?
English.
English.
Yeah, also our mothership language is English. By the way, it's in most of the meetings it's no problem to speak English, and others you have translator. I respect, let's say, the being cautious from some Japanese colleagues with the language because they know much better English than I Japanese, so I have deep respect of that. It's very difficult, but and I only can encourage the people because my experience is that a lot of people are speaking much better English than they apply it, so it's just a matter of training. So I have 8 board members for German and for Japanese. At the beginning, no Japanese spoke English. Then in the 101, you said, okay, now Miyazaki-san, translator, stop. He talks English. And then we start, and today we are doing all 101 meetings in English. So it's, and this is necessary because otherwise these people have no chance to do also an international career.
Very good. We have 23 students from abroad. Only 2 of them are from Japan. 21 non-Japanese. And I hope you'll be able to hire 1 or 2 as an intern.
I am sending, therefore I was even at your competition, because we are, this is also, let's say, a change somehow where I think that our companies try to be aggressive. If you are the front runner, you never know. When we started, let's say, in cooperation with universities, I was told, no, this is not in Japan because there you are at the university and you do your studies and then you are finishing and then you go to this big application ceremony and then you get to the industry. This is it.
Okay.
I said, no, we want to work together. And today we're working together with a lot of universities in seminars and so on. Why? Of course, it makes fun. And I'm not joking, but there's also a purpose behind that we learn the people, that we attract the people, and that these international people are coming, let's say, know a little bit about Mercedes, about Fuso, and then also say apply. And I was very proud in the Sunday event, where then a person comes to me and said, now I will apply for Daimler.
Oh, that's good. That's
So
good to hear.
maybe today are coming 2 persons.
That's good. Like I also have to thank you for doing this, like a Daimler series, like 5 of them. Only one, this one is in English. 4 other are going to be in Japanese. But I think it's good to be doing it. Well, let me ask 2 questions, like because I've been asking Kyohima-san a lot. One is about sales and one is about leadership. You became a president of Daimler-Benz Japan. You look quite young for like I said, and you must be a great salesperson. What is the secrets of sales? Like, what is your some kind of policy? And there are quite a few salespersons who must be struggling.
Okay. Actually, I have to confess, I've never sold a passenger car. The only thing I sold was trucks. Yes. Obviously, I was in the truck business. I was selling Mercedes-Benz trucks. And that was the only time I actually sold myself together. This was in Mercedes-Benz Japan. But passenger car, I've imported, ordered, whatever, but or introduced, but I have not really virtually. I've registered cars, but I haven't really sold cars. But trucks, yes. Now, but through these days, what I understood as a salesman and what I talk with our dealers and whatnots, you know the famous baseball player Ichiro?
Yeah.
But he's never hit 400, right? No. So even Ichiro doesn't hit 400 with all his talents. I tell my people, go 10 times. And if you're successful, maybe you're successful by 1 or 2. So you have to do it anyway. There's no secret, no success. You have to just do it. Even Ichiro can't hit 400. That's what I always thought. I discussed with my colleagues. The past 6 years, what I've been doing is, talking about this all the time with my sales peers and my area managers. And, I think by now everybody gets the idea. And as I said, as a car company, you can't sell less versus previous year. You can't do that. Everybody just says, oh, Japan is full of novelty effects. After 6 months, everything goes down. That's not true. That's not true. There's many other ways to do it. Marketing, make the car look fresh, add options, sales gig, and so on. So, there is no secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question. You may answer again. There is no secret, but I'll ask you. You said that you had become the first Japanese people to be heading a Mercedes-Benz Japan. What is the secret?
First of all, I'm the oldest in the company, actually. No, I, by means of service time. I've been in the company for 26 years. I'm not the oldest. I'm actually currently 48. And I've never stood in one position more than 6 years. So the 6 years is a sales and marketing and public relations. So that 2 is the longest which I've served for. And you maybe saw at the resume, I've been selling trucks, I've been doing HR, I've been doing customer call centers, business development, you name it. So every 1-2 years, there was always this bright and strong leadership, shacho, coming to you and say, Ueno-san, I think you had enough. Please go and see that one. Okay. But I've been only here for a year or a year and a half. Yeah, you got some things done. So why don't you go for the next challenge? I have to admit that there were very strong supporters within the company who really helped me through the ranks and gave me the challenges.
Why is that? Why were you given the chances?
I don't know. Maybe I was. I looked willing, probably. Willing to take challenges.
Oh, I see. There may be some other people who are willing to take chances.
Yeah, but you have to mean it.
So you're really
And I looked
willing.
probably serious, willing, and and you had to show that whatever you're given. I mean, for example, I don't know this customer assistance center, or let's say, in the old times, maybe 顧客相談室, this, you have to pick up these, all this claims, and you don't really find people motivated to go there, right? But I was told, there's a great job, is pick up phones and whatnot. So I said, I'll do it.
Okay.
Because I thought anything cannot disturb, experience, I took everything as an experience. And if you do it right, you can get out of it very quickly. If you do it sloppy, you'll stay there forever. That's how it, because if you don't have any more challenges, why stay there? Huh?
Okay.
And I think that's the way I challenge it. But just for the reference, I'd like to stay in my position a little bit longer this time.
This time. Okay. Okay, let's open up for Q&A. And so for those of you who have any questions, please raise hands. Yes, maybe. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. Let me ask for Ueno-san. Ueno-san, you look good tie today, so you look good. And this is just small joke. I hear that one story. To understand the people is the first step for successing in business. How do you think about it? To understand your people.
Your people, my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the first step for successing in business. If so, how does it affect creating your strategy?
How do you
In your
understand
company.
people?
First of all, I spend a lot of time with my people, maybe too much. I go out drinking too much. I just have to know the people. I would have to put it this way. Whatever I do in or outside the company, I do it together with my colleagues. Last year I started triathlon. I had to pull, I had to pull in so many of our colleagues or within the company because I thought I wouldn't make it by myself.
Okay.
So once you go through hell together with people, you get to know them one by one. And don't cherry pick all the, only the good ones, but many variety of people. So all throughout my career, within Mercedes-Benz, I've kind of, I didn't bully, but I kind of approach people, let's go bicycling, let's go swimming, let's go whatever. And you bump into people, and of course if they don't like you, or if they don't feel any kind of charm in you, they don't come along. You will quickly find out, not because I'm trying to pull them, but I'm trying to be open as much as possible to as many people possible, and that helps. It's not only work. You can't judge people from work only. You have to communicate with them. And I wasn't really hesitating to communicate with people, and even now, of course, I don't know after becoming shacho if they really like me walking through the floors. I don't know about you, but they look very concerned. But it doesn't. I'm not doing any harm. I'm just trying to get communication with them, so to know young people. And since I was right after university, first within Mercedes-Benz Japan to be the new grad to join the company. I've been, for the past 25, 6 years, joining this new grads party in April, which is coming 12th of April this year also. We drink until morning. We get to know each other a lot. The group is now, 150 people? Yeah, or more or less. So we have around 480 employees. Now 120 to 150 is new grads, which has been joining us since '87. And we've never stopped asking new grads to join us. And I think this is one good way of coming up with people within the company. And I like this, yeah.
What is your favorite part? Swim, run, or bike?
I have to tell you, it's bike.
Bike.
Because I've done 180 kilometers or 12 hours, and but swimming is very hard. But I know why triathlon comes with swimming, because if they come last with swimming, I'm going to see a lot of dead people, right? And running, you can always walk, but
Okay.
swimming.
Let's participate in triathlon. Relay. I swim, you bike. In
I'm
Sakata.
going to join 3 races this year. Yeah.
Oh, which one?
One in May, one in July, and one in November.
Okay, maybe June 23rd in Sakata. I'm
Okay.
participating.
Okay. Maybe. Maybe.
Anyway, any questions to Kirihima-san? Okay, one by. Okay, please.
Hi, just because both of you talked about that you have functional rotations within your jobs and is very encouraged, like you wouldn't stay at a position for a very long time, like for you more than 6 years. And I want to know how likely is for a person to rotate across Daimler to Mercedes, rather than just functional within the brand?
There's no limitation, and it's. I was in the passenger car area. I have had in the first 20 years maybe 15 different jobs, and like Ueno-san, I never applied. And I was often asked when you get middle management, oh, what is your next step? And I was often advised you should apply for I don't know what, because there might be a position available or what. I never did this in the last 27 years. Maybe totally wrong, but luckily somehow it was always asked. And from that I started in a truck plant. I went to a passenger car plant. I went in Germany, then I went for 5 years to Spain in a sales company. Then I went back to the headquarters. I was there with the chairman. Then I was in the engine division, in the commercial vehicle. Then I was in the bus. Then I was for 10 years CFO of all this club. Then I have had, of course, a lot of contacts to Mitsubishi Fuso, which started with the recall in 2004-05. And then somebody has had the idea or asked me once in the lunchtime, do you want to go to Japan? Okay, fine.
I see.
So we have, of course, in these divisions, and it's a good question because it's not a given, but we have, of course, all job applications or postings are available for everybody around the world. Our development systems, in the different levels, are not division-wise. They are then across the company. There are elements in where you describe your development plan, your next steps. So it's also supported by HR and the executive development functions we have. A very open, transparent, and given, and not, oh, have you seen this guy? I don't know. He has sold trucks and now he is selling passenger cars, or even not selling, but this is also new for me today. So this is very open. Yeah.
Well, let me ask one question.
And of course, one element of the interesting, beside the complexity, which sometimes give you gray hairs, the interesting part is that you can work in worldwide, and automotive, it's all automotive, or financing, but in different parts, very different parts.
Let me ask you one question. If this is confidential, you don't have to answer. When I heard people in IBM, he told me that there's some kind of leadership track. If you are within leadership track, you don't know about that, but you tend to be rotated a lot, and you are tested along the way. And do you have the tendency that the people who are on the track tend to be more rotated, more than other people?
We have a similar system, yes. Also, in the middle and top management development, and to describe it a little bit, because it's not a secret. The name's of course, a secret. But you have once a year, we name it PPVM, which is the performance appraisal of management, which is looking back based on your target agreement to the last 12 months and rating you in target achievement in percentage and leadership. And this is very in the focus, this leadership evaluation, because you just can get additional points. Now, I'm not talking about the points, but this is a very defined element, leadership. And after that, you have a second round where you go through all executives, which is called EDC, Executive Development Conference. And we are separating this. I complained at the beginning, why are you separating this, you know? You have to talk in February about all your people, and then in April again all about your people, and somehow it's correlating, but it's good to separate it, because once you want to talk about the performance, and you can have a bad performance in the year, but you can have a potential for the next level, which is easy to say, but let's say this needs a certain culture, that you have missed your targets, and at the same time you are defined as potential or as ready for the next level with one step, or ready immediately. And if you are rated as ready with one step, then there's the discussion, what should Mr. Mori do next year? And is he ready for move? Yes, no. So there's a categorization where you steer the development of the people.
Very good. Okay, any other questions? Okay, maybe this one.
Okay, thank you. My name is Wilson Chan. I'm in the full-time program at Globus. Actually, I have a question for both. Maybe both of you can answer. You were talking about the leadership, and then since we are in MBA, the MBA school, we actually want to know leadership and globalization are two different things. They consider two different things, but in reality, for a company to go global, you need global leadership. How does Daimler actually address the problem? Because like you said, you bring them together in the leadership conference or executive development. But how do you address the cultural differences? Let's say if we wanted to bring a Japanese manager up to par, not up to par, but like up to the same level as maybe someone that has practical English or native English skills in Germany or something like that.
First, we have way to go because you saw the top management and you saw not the Japanese face. So it would be not fair to say, yes, we are perfect. Yeah. But we have to admit that we are a German-based company and a history, and it takes time. I'm deeply convinced that in 10 years you see not only Germans in this board.
They speak German on the board, right? Normally.
Only German.
Yeah, that's good.
As a matter of fact. Since 2 years we have a woman on the board.
Oh, yeah.
So next step, okay. All this development, as one, it's a very complex question, but a good question. There is no limitation in development of people based on nationality. But also I have to say very clearly, without perfect English, you have no chance. Because you're simply, you could be a perfect guy in Mitsubishi Fuso, but if you cannot communicate, it does not work. So as easy as it sounds, as important it is, without English, you have no chance to make a good career. And this is not a Japanese challenge or problem. When we did the merger with Chrysler, I found myself, and still I'm far away from perfect, and a lot of colleagues learning English. Today for us it's, let's say, we understand each other in English. We are not perfect in English. So organizations have to learn it. And the other part of your question, leadership and global. Up to now, I am there very reluctant, and I refuse on elaborating on cultural differences and necessities of different leadership style. And the last 3 years, I don't know, from my self-assessment is it works. Because, and this brings me back to the values, I believe that people around the world wanted to be treated with respect. And by the way, downgrade people, we are talking about career. As a leader, you have also, you make mistakes, you promote people, and then you have downgrade the people. And one of my beliefs and doings, I say not strengths or hobbies, is to be very serious to people. And in my often job changing, I met the new people in the area where I was changed, and they came into my office, or I talked to them, and they said, and I have potential in this system, and when you move around, then you know people before you go to the job. And then you make up your mind, and if you believe that he has not a potential, you have to tell him. And my experience, or you have to tell him that you will downgrade him. Of course, you have to explain him why. And my experience, and also with Japanese, also let's say here in Japan, which is not the culture necessarily in old manufacturing industries. You get an advisory job here and there, whatever, you get some job, but you don't downgrade. And in 90% of the cases, the people are saying, and this is true around the world, in Spain, in Germany, and in Japan. Thank you, Kirchmann-san. You are telling what I always felt, but nobody told me.
That's good.
And you gave me a second chance because you positioned me here and there. And this is just an example why I strongly believe leadership is about integrity, is about respect to the people, is about listening to the people and not about philosophies about cultural difference.
Ueno-san, do you speak German?
So yes.
Good question. Actually, I never lived abroad. Only the timing I lived abroad was from 1994 to 95 in Germany. So this was before the merger with Chrysler. So, and I was in public relation. A Japanese sent to Germany, public relation, yeah, and you don't speak German, no? So I was in a crash course for 3 to 4 months, and there, you know, when I go to Germany, I kind of, you know, get myself around. I kind of understand it, but I'm a little shy to speak it. I was thinking all my past 10, 12 years to really tackle this German language. I haven't had the time to do so. Maybe, you know, and sometimes I do have the basics. So in my resume it says basics, but not more than basics.
So you see, you are always learning. This is my second learning of this evening. My first learning was that he never sold cars. My second learning is that he speaks German.
So you never communicated in German?
No,
before? Oh, I
bis
see.
jetzt nicht.
Okay. Do you want to comment on Wilson's question, or you want to?
Well, I'm kind of similar. What I try to do, and I try to give the people to work in a different environment. I used to have a team of nearly 100 people in the areas of sales and marketing, and basically it was all Japanese. I wanted to put a change to this situation, so I tried to hire foreigners living in Japan to give them a job within our company. The first started out with an expat. The second one, a Austrian Japanese, and next one I think is a Japanese German. Now is coming a Chinese American. So what I'm trying to do here is I like to make my people go through this, let's say, internationalization within Mercedes-Benz Japan. I mean, you know, if you speak Japanese, you have basically no problem in Mercedes-Benz Japan. That was so in the old days. But now, if you don't speak English, you have a problem. Vice versa. The expat who comes to our company, they will miss a big part of it because small meetings will be held in Japanese. But, you know, what I'm trying to say here is people have to mingle. I mean, they have to understand both sides of the language and a part of the culture. And I strongly try to push this. I was pretty fortunate. I was brought in a international school in Japan. My father spoke some English. My mother spoke no English. I was out of the kindergarten without any knowledge of English, and I was just thrown in. Probably my father donated a lot of money.
Okay, I'd like to give Japanese ladies a chance. Like anybody from like ladies first?
Yes, please.
Nobody? Okay.
First of all, thank you for great presentation tonight. I have a question for Mr. Ueno. Long time ago, when you were an executive of truck section in Daimler Chrysler Japan, there was a recall hidden problem, recall kakushi in Mitsubishi Fuso. What did you do as the same Daimler group in Japan, and what do you think then?
Can you identify yourself like you are from this industry or not? which どこの会社が
Mitsubishi Fuso.
Ah, no, okay, within the company.
Actually, I took advantage of this, and I tried to sell a lot of Mercedes-Benz Actros trucks. No, half joking. In reality, of course, my goal was to sell as many Actros trucks in Japan. Sorry, but because I'm
we are doing the maintenance.
yeah,
today.
they're doing the maintenance for me. Actually, we were selling around, when I took over the job, we were selling about 350, 400 trucks, and we wanted to bring this up to 500 to 700 every year.
Sure.
We did make some money, of course, but when we had this recall issue, I think there was no direct impact for the Mercedes-Benz side, Actros. So actually, I heard about it through complaints from customers and so on, but I didn't react. More or less, I had good communication with the Mitsubishi Fuso colleagues. At that time, you know, because I was very serious on selling Mercedes-Benz trucks, I even proposed the German colleagues in Mitsubishi Fuso to take our tractor heads, which never happened. You know, I said, why don't Fuso take those typical Japanese chassis, and why don't we bring in Mercedes-Benz trucks? Because, you know, tractor heads. Because the number of, you know, percentage of tractor heads and long bodies were different. So I was pure, right? I mean, I wanted to sell more and more Actros trucks, and I was just into it. And I had the privilege to join a telephone conference with Rentschler-san, Dr. Maya. Back then, all the big shots, I'm the small peanuts there, and you know, we were talking about pulling out from the market, you know, maintenance, what can we do, and so on. And until the very last day, until the very last decision, I kept on selling trucks, and I was into it. But of course, there's a very smart person taps you on the shoulder and say, Ueno-san, look at the bigger picture. Daimler. You know, when we have a strategic move into a direction, what is best for every country, the market, and so on, it would be foolish for us if we started double badging Actros with Mitsubishi badge back then. So somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, look at the bigger picture. Then suddenly I thought, okay, maybe he's right. You know, I was persuaded with this one comment because I saw the bigger picture. We're not talking about 500 trucks worldwide. We're talking about a bigger scale. And am I doing the bigger picture a favor or not? And I thought, maybe not. That was my understanding. So I had to pull back.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, yes. And then you.
Hi, thanks for the talk so far. I'm Hamish. I'm in the part-time MBA program here at Globus. Just wondering with governance, where is the balance between the mothership wanting to control and how much leeway does the local side get given?
Interesting question.
So of course we have rule of procedures. This is a good comment because it depends from where you're looking. Everybody has his headquarter, yeah. Let's say even he's fully right. Our 220 dealerships out there have 7 headquarters, and they are complaining about their headquarter. These 7 headquarters are complaining about our headquarter. And sometimes I'm complaining about my headquarter. But this is, let's say, maybe somehow normal. Of course, we have our rules of procedures, let's say investments, what could be decided for implementation locally, and what needs to go to the mothership. To give you a feeling, 20 million euro, up to 20 million euro we can decide locally, and above 20 million euro it has to go to the Daimler Trucks mothership, and about 100 million euro it has to go to the Daimler mothership, so that you have a feeling. So there are hard rules. Between the hard rules, there are monthly management meetings, basically monthly management meetings, and there are basically daily mails and I don't know, by every 2 weeks, 2 days calls. And between all that is trust. Even if you're in a crisis. And I can tell you, with Ueno-san, his former boss, Sacho Speak-san, and the CEO of Financial Service, so let's say the 3 people in the 6 months after the big disaster, we have had not a lot of calls. Not because people didn't take care, or let's say they just gave us the full power because they have had the trust. And at this time we could decide everything. So once upon a time, after 2 months, we 3 were sitting together and saying, not all bad, because you can decide within hours. Let's do it. So, but this is not, let's say. So we try to keep this very efficient. Because if this is not efficient, you lose all the energy with internal up and downs and back and forth and headquarter and reporting and so on and so forth. And this is true for every level there. He's absolutely right, because even the line worker has a headquarter, which is his foreman. And this you must keep very open and transparent and based on trust. And if you have issues, because it's not all honeymoon, then you have to, let's say, to focus on the issues where you have your doubts. And so you have changing focus, and where you know these leaders you can, it's sufficient if you have a business update with them every 2 months, and others due to situations you have to take, this you take onto your daily radar.
Maybe Ueno-san, about mothership control.
For passenger car sales, of course, there's certain rules. We have a kind of I call it a gaming rule. You know, every year we're obliged to agree on targets, how much we can spend on marketing, how much we can spend on certain areas. That's all set as an indicator. And of course, you have it broken down by your strong controllers by month and quarters, and since one of my controllers are here, I'm not really going to open up everything, but there's a game plan, and we decide previous year according to market situation and so on. My people have sometimes a weekly telephone conference with Stuttgart, bi-weekly if things are going well. They don't disturb you if everything is going well. When sorry for the bad language, the shit hits the fan, you get every day a call. But what I'm trying to say is that we have a game plan for every next year. And if we are within those, let's say, censored or KPIs, we are basically questioned, many questions. Can you do more? Can you sell more? Can you whatever? Same everywhere. Other than that, of course, as Dr. Kilman said, there are investment price corridors, limits, which all the company has to follow. But as a sales company, we are giving outside the money issue. I think we are being pretty much on our own to decide many things. Other than the money indicators, I think we are, of course we have our internal process to be followed, very strict rules within the company, but other than that, Stuttgart will keep us, running.
Okay, we have 10 last minutes. Like, any questions? Like, we have 1 question and 2 questions. Okay, we'd like that 2 altogether, and we'll come back here.
Hello, my name is Ken. Thank you for the presentation and the speech. My question is, as the car market getting saturated, Okay. I think what's required for the car company has been changing as well. Like car company used to be just manufacturing and just sell. But now, as you mentioned, car company are more required to, let's say, sell the concept, becoming more like marketing company. But during this process, like as the market changes, the company has to change. How, and I think it's the issue many Japanese industry manufacturers are facing at the same time. Like we cannot stay just as a manufacturer anymore. We have to sell the concept and stuff like that. And let's say Mercedes-Benz in its like has been surviving long time, and I'm sure it's been changing the focus. And how did you do that in terms of two ways? First, in terms of organization, like did you set up like let's say task force every time when something comes up? And second question is like human resource wise, because it's the people, same people working all the time. How would you direct people every time focus on new things to the right direction?
How did you shift from manufacturing to marketing and in terms of human resource management? One more question. This side, okay.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm kind of working for a global function in Tokyo headquarters here, so kind of a global guy. So I have a question about this, and I'm kind of always struggling to take a balance between the global alignment and more local flexibility. So if you have any policy or idea to take a good balance between global alignment and local flexibility, it may be branding or some cost efficiency or some product development, whatever. So I believe you are in the kind of a local side guy. So if you have any idea about that.
Okay, let's ask first question to Kilman-san and second question to Ueno-san, or you can comment anything. Okay, let's go on. Kilman-san.
I'm not sure if I got the question correct, but I try. And if not, please correct me. Shifting or let's say changing the balance, whatever, from a manufacturing to a marketing company. First of all, there's not yesterday manufacturing and no marketing, and today marketing and no manufacturing, so it's a balance. But I agree that there is a shift, and I agree that especially in Japanese manufacturing industries, in the setup, there is a shift necessary. Because in the manufacturing industry in Japan, the manufacturers are the headquarters, they are the proud guys, and the sales guys are somehow the remote companies. This is one of our structural changes we are doing. We have, therefore we have, for example, integrated all the sales companies, integrated, not remote, in all processes, also the people development process, in all town halls, in all information, they are part of the total setup and not somehow remote other companies with different systems. The priority of development and investment beside the products are the front people, the sales people. Example, we have 6 months ago started as first commercial vehicle manufacturer in Japan and first automotive company in Japan, not import company, but Japan, Nissan, Toyota, Honda, with iPads for salesmen and after salesmen, and respective functions. And it's announced we will, in the next 6 months, roll out to all our salesmen and after salesmen iPads with the respective functions. So we can push down the informations directly. They have a sales app with all products. They have a sales app with all running cost calculation and so on and so forth. So it tells you that the development of the organization changes and must be, even in a stylish industry like Mercedes or the premium cars shifted. The second part of your question, how you change or steer people to new challenges. The best answer is you should make them aware of the need to change. So we have a program which we call FUSO 2015. It's part of this global excellence. This program has 5 pillars, where we decided in workshops, in town halls, collected the opinion of the people, integrated the people's opinion. 5 pillars are leader in green innovation, a profitable global player, #1 in Japan, efficiency leader, and employer #1 in our industry, attract people. And along that mindset, there are 2,500 initiatives with initiative leaders from staff members. So you make the people aware of you do not only inform the people about the strategy, you make them part of the implementation of the strategy. And with that guidance along the strategy, you get the people moving in the direction which you have pre-discussed with them and which you formalize then to ask them to do. And this makes people proud because they are part of the business development, of the implementing of the strategy. And then it's the normal leadership tools. You award the people who have done things good, and this makes people proud and makes things successful, makes people proud, and success and proud motivates people. Proudness motivates people, and then you get the business developed.
Okay, I'm not supposed to return questions with questions, but your question of local and global kind of midline, I unfortunately don't know what you actually do, but how I think it is, what is my goal? And how do I want to get there? And how do I want to steer it? And there may be a few ways how to reach your let's say goal point or your target or whatever. But hopefully you take the shortest and the most effective way to get there. So I don't have an answer, it's 30-70 or 40-60, but when you're asked a question, you must at least have a, kind of a answer in front of you, or else you get nowhere, because you'll be running in circles, because there is probably no exact right answer. And if there was an exact right answer, you'll get there very quickly. But if you think that there is no exact right answer, you have to kind of imagine the most nearest way to get there. So that's what I do. And of course, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to upset many people, but okay, you have to get there, right? So I would imagine that you, as a professional, have a certain goal set, and I would take the shortest and the most efficient way to get there. And that's probably in between a stronger local approach or a global approach, and how much people you and which how much people you involve in this circle. But that would be my let's say thinking towards your question.
And if I may add, and to be a little bit unpolite maybe, I heard a lot of times in your question the word alignment. As Ueno-san said, you have to keep the people informed, but you have to have the undisputed will to succeed what you think is right, to be a leader, to be #1. This is not ignoring other people. But if you are in a global organization and you say, okay, now let's make for everybody that everybody is happy and everybody is informed and nobody is against it, then you're at the best administration clerk, but you will never move something. So you have to have your own position, you have to have your own target, you have to have your own will to implement, You have to be open to listen to other people and accept better arguments, and you have to keep the people informed. But I hate the word alignment, which somehow in Japan it's called nemawashi. And I told to my headquarter, who is always saying, yeah, nemawashi? Nemawashi? Yeah, Japanese nemawashi. I said, this is, in Germany it's even worse. It's called abstimmen, alignment. Yeah? So we talk that we have the same opinion.
Okay, very good. So with that, we'd like to conclude. We all have to speak up, not alignment. Always say something with opinions. And we'd like to thank all for coming, and we'd like to thank Kyohman-san and also Ueno-san for coming. Let's give them the round of applause for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.